everybody, and welcome to another episode of Love. And today we are talking about to be in love versus to love. So it's a good subject, and we have the guest Alejandra with us. Alejandra, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, a little bit about myself. I'm a business coach, life coach as well, but I'm more into the business. And as I was telling you guys, I have this masculine energy, trying to mix feminine energy. But I love to go for the goals, the dreams, and it's this energy that you need to create inside you, like hungry about what you want. So I help people achieve those goals, those dreams, and that's what I do. And about me, something that I like people to know, I'm really good at connecting concepts and ideas. So I think that's something I value about myself, and I'm starting with this because I was talking with someone and say like it's good that people start like embracing their strengths. So then we encourage people to show up in this way as well. Instead of like being too humble, no, let's show people what is your strengths, things you are providing to this world. So yeah, that's a little bit about me, and here I am.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much for sharing. So let's just dive into the topic. What is common for you, Alejandra, when we are talking about to love versus to be in love? Is there a difference? And if yes, what is the difference?
I think love comes from like being more unconditional. I think we have to experience both in this world, because I think we came from an unconditional love source. So um so yeah, I'm sorry. Like I'm hearing the music. So we're coming from this source and it's unconditional. So since we came from this source that is unconditional, I think we all can experience that kind of love, which is freedom, detachment, letting the person be and embracing his ugly part as well. Um, and being in love is more, I see these more as like a romantic aspect that we all have to experience as well, to learn a lot about being attached. It's like
Oh,
learning that being in love is more like, I think you are more hormonal in that moment and you're just being superhuman. You're just being totally human. You're just releasing certain hormones that make you feel attracted to that person. It's just a chemical reaction. And it's nice to experience that. It brings you a lot of pleasure, right? But we need to create that balance between that uh, being in love aspect and then turning this into unconditional love and vice versa. I think it's balancing those two goals, because if you're in love, then you're just working with the hormones, and that's why you don't learn what you have to learn, and then it's really easy to just be triggered by your ego and not learn what that person wants to show you.
that's so beautiful. Thanks for sharing. What about you, Bruno? What does it come up for you?
So first of all, I want to say hello to everybody. I hope you're having a lovely time on these first 5 minutes. Um, it's like I was having this conversation with Irina some time ago, and I was telling her, and she actually told me like, what do you think really is the difference between like to be in love and like wanting to be in love and actually being in love? And I'd say, well, uh, to be in love is almost like signs of attraction, where like you like the person, you don't love the person, right? Because like to be in love is you wanting to be in love or you needing to be in love, and being in love is you're already in love, right? But how many people in this planet want to be in love, and how many people are with someone and they are not in love? See, and that's kind of like where I kind of go to when we touch this topic is how many people really want to be in love and they're not, and how many people are with someone and they're not in love. Which makes total sense because you're either running away from pain or you're chasing pleasure. And the majority of the times, a lot of people who don't fix themselves after a breakup, what eventually happens to them is everybody wants love, but those people, when somebody truly loves them, they think like, "What's wrong with you? What like why would you love me?" You know, and they test the person the most. They create fights with the person the most, right? To see if it's actually for real. But if somebody actually hates them or cheats on them or whatever, they're like, "Oh yeah, I mean, was expecting that already." And because for them though for that it's safe, right? But that's not what they want, but that's eventually what they chase because they think that's what's normal because of what happened in the past.
Yeah, so true. And
So those are the people who are the most hurt are the ones who want to be with. Go continue.
yeah, just for me, what brings up that we all go through both, right? We all, as human beings, experience both of these feelings: to be in love and just to love, right? And as Alejandra touched on it, she said it's more like romantic feeling when we are talking about in love. Because I was also saying that to me, like I'm coming from, like if I would just translate that word, there is like one word in our Russian language. It's just to love, right? We don't have such an expression as being in love. So maybe we do, but we don't use it like commonly. So mostly when we are saying that we love the person, we say we love the person, right? So there is not a huge distinguish. So over here is like looking at English vocabulary. It's like, okay, what exactly does it mean to love versus being in love? Because to me, it's kind of, like two of the same. But then again, the more I started thinking about it, and in love, it's mean more like when people just have that connection. They have these butterflies in their stomach. They have like all these beautiful daydreaming, and they're just so happy to see that person. They want to see. So it's like something that is temporarily, and then it goes transition into the more mature stage where people get deeply connected, and when that being in love transfers to love, where you kind of feel the connection with the person, when there is more than just romantic emotions, when you know that you are deeply connected and you want to be there for the person no matter what, if it's good or bad. You kind of become very mature about your feeling. And to love not only transfers to the romantic partner, it also transfers to any family member. You could love your kids, you could love your parents, you could even love your pets, right? So this is like what comes for me when we are talking about to love versus being in love. And anybody wants to share some stories, personal stories, when they had some in love experience?
I will say something. I wonder if I think it's possible. Everything is possible. I wonder if you can be in love when you already love unconditionally. Again, like being in love, then you transition to a more mature stage, and then you can fall in love again. I think that's possible. It just requires like certain steps, to go back to that state of mind, because I think it's just a state of mind. You can go back to that state of mind and make that happen, and I think that makes a strong relationship, like going from one place to another place, because as humans we need that priority. So if you are just doing conditional, that person is there forever, but there is no this attraction anymore, I think it becomes boring for you as a human. So trying to balance those two, and making this happen again, like making the attraction happen again. And that's actually something that I want. Like, I really want to create that in my life, like being unconditional with that partner, but also creating those states of mind again where we fall in love again, and vice versa.
That's so beautiful. You know, Alejandro, what comes to me as you're talking about it is, kind of reignite the flame, right? From time to time, people need it, the couples as well. But it's so interesting when people are staying in a relationship, whether it's marriage or just, long-lasting relationships for a longest time, they kind of completely brush off the importance of that because they are so focused on, like doing what they are doing routinely, right? Kind of taking the partner for granted and just realizing, okay, that person is there, so I'm kind of good. But it's all about just also doing something in order to feel alive again, to go again through all these emotions, like you said, again, to redefine what in love state means for you. And for that, people really have to start thinking about it. And if they are not creative themselves, it's good like to get into the communities where they could actually talk about it, or meet other people, or get the coaches who could reignite that flame for them. So there is always a way. It all depends if people really want to transfer themselves from one emotion to another and really experience it over and over again. Bruno, what does it come for you?
I'll be honest with you. Like honestly,
Be honest.
I could like my first love was my first love. I could never be in love the way I was again with my first love. It's impossible. Like Alejandro, you were saying everything is possible, and everything is possible.
Yes,
But
everything is possible. Why not?
being in love,
Exactly.
like being so in love, like having all that, having all that thing of like, oh my, like like when your first love is like, oh my god, I'm so in love, oh my god, oh no, I couldn't live with this person, in your head spins around, like all around, like the to get that love again, to not that love again, because you can get a better love, but this time you get a better love in terms of you're wiser, you have more experience, right? And you don't choose to trust like there. You build it. It's something that it's built. It's not like, oh yeah, like we're gonna do this and we're gonna do that, and and God will send a miracle, or the universe will send a miracle, whatever, and we're gonna suddenly trust one another, and that's it. That's just not how it works, right? But it's like a thing that like people should kind of do like, because in a relationship people let the reality be too real.
Mhm.
Like couples should take their time to fantasize about stuff, like live like, yeah, fun, it's a fantasy, but that does not mean that it can be real, or that you cannot work for that to be real, especially because you're going to do it together, which is even more fun. um and then like at the same time, it's also, for example, there always has to be like some type of magic, like just some type of magic. It's just some type of it, because like, for example, um in a relationship, right, it's important that the man is not overpowering the woman, and that the woman is not overpowering the man, right? There's like a balance, and you can overpower someone in communication, you can overpower someone in control, you can overpower someone in strength, and that power needs to be controlled by both, right? Like if two people are too masculine, it's destroyed. If two people are too feminine, it's destroyed. But if those two people can be feminine and masculine, they can both use their attributes for each other, when like things are better, right? Like you're not in any position, you're not in any sort of a position to be in a relationship if you're not in control of those both traits. You can't be. You can't be. You can't be. You can't be because it's gonna go. It's gonna fail. It's going to fail. It's going to fail because you're not gonna be able to communicate like you should. If you're too masculine, right, you're going to probably burst out, right? Or you're probably gonna try and dominate or whatever, right? But if you're too feminine, you're too submissive, and you're just gonna be there like, like completely like just on shock, like not knowing what to do. And you gotta be both. And if you're not both, like there's a reason why there's so many divorces in the world nowadays. I mean, because people don't even know how to govern themselves, and people are not in control of those sides. People are not balanced themselves. They're what they're gonna balance a relationship. No, no, it's just not gonna happen.
Okay, Bruno, we are gonna talk with you when you're gonna be our age, okay? Because you are still have, like beliefs that are gonna be shifting with your age, right, Alejandra? Tell me.
Yeah.
And what I wanted to add, and I know Alejandra also wanted to say something. As being me and Alejandra being coaches, we know everything is possible. So when you define that there is no other love than the first love, it's never going to be the same. It's all in your limitational thinking. Because if we open ourselves up for any possibilities, we could experience not only the same emotions, we could experience much higher emotions. So it's all about what we are allowing ourselves and what we are open to receive. If we are going to say that, whatever happened to us the first time was the best time and it's never going to repeat itself, of course, it's not going to repeat because this is what you believe in. Alejandra, what do you think?
Yeah, I think I have been in love, of course, a couple times. And this happened for me to know now what I want. Like it becomes more and more clear of what kind of men I want in my life. So those previous guys, they were masters for me. They tell me what I want, what I don't want. So every time I feel like I'm more right now specific and clear in what I want. But also I need to be super strong to not be attached of the patterns that I've been following with these guys. Because it becomes addictive. It becomes like, for all those programs that I have in my head, the strongest one is all men are the same. They're cheaters, they're liars, they're womanizer. And this belief became so real for me that I just been attracting guys like that. So it's so fascinating what your brain does. Because then I become more attracted to these kind of guys instead of going inside and check, what do I want? Do I really want a womanizer man? Do I really want a liar? And it's not like they're bad or good people. They just have like a different perception or whatever they're looking for. So it's so interesting for me to see that I had those kind of guys and also like aggressive ones that I had to have to know that that's something that absolutely I don't want and be super clear with that. And if someone comes like that with those qualities and those are red flags, I need to cut with it right away to tell the universe, no, this is what I want. And that's the hardest part because it's so tempting, you are used to this kind of guys. So when they come, you're like, maybe this is different. And your intuition inside is telling you, no, it's not different.
No.
Yeah.
It's not different. You got it with it. To teach your brain who you need to focus on from now on. So yeah, it's really challenging, but I think that's the transformation. That's when the transformation occurs in your life and you become another woman, another man or whatever. Because you were able to overcome that belief that was not creating the reality that you want.
This is so beautiful and powerful because you
Oh,
know
nice.
what it brings for me? What it just 1 second, Bruno. What it
Sure.
brings for me is just the fact that a lot of times people know what they don't want, right? Even just take an example of any relationship. Let's say finally two people met after so many times they were experienced such bad relationships. And after some times they start like asking themselves, you know, like, do I really deserve to have that good person, right? And they start like sending to the universe the signals like, I'm not good enough, I'm not deserving to be with that person, and what if that person is gonna do the same what the past people did to me, right? And by focusing that attention on something that they are afraid of bringing into themselves, that actually is gonna materialize because our thoughts become our things. So it's very important to be conscious of that all the time and redirect our focus. Like, why do we think about something that we do not want? Let's focus on something that we truly want, you know, like just embrace the moment, like be grateful that finally you're with the person that you always dreamed about, and that dream is there because you are deserving, you are enough, and that relationship is going to go only better and better from this moment on, right? The more we feed ourselves these stories, the more we see how the relationship is going to be actually prospering and be thriving and be exactly the way we want it to be.
Oh my gosh, I love it. And you know, I want to add something. I love that because I'm working on this right now. I'm willing now to think that it is possible to find a man who is honest, transparent. I'm now willing to, and like I'm opening out myself to believe that is possible because the last year, and this is something new actually for me. And my brain is not true. It's not true. All men are the same. It's like a pride. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
no, I'm willing. I really want to try. I'm willing to open up for a different man. I know there are good men. I know there are uh, trustworthy men. This is possible because it's just a thought, but it's so strong that I struggle believing. Still, I struggle believing, and I've been working on this and saying, no, 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 no. There are men who is trustworthy, and I can find one. You know. So it's yeah, and I need to focus on that. As you say, I need to focus from now on that.
Yes, train your brain muscle the same way as you train our physical muscle, right? So the more we train our brain muscle, we are actually becoming more and more what we want rather than what we do not want. Bruno, say something because we're like having the dialogue, and later on, I also have some tips for Alejandro and maybe for the audience as well.
Yeah, so like no, I was listening and I was waiting for my turn. I wasn't going to interrupt you. So like it's quite funny that you know that Alejandra, and like it's so nice that you're changing that because it's so true. And like in terms of like it's not that you acknowledge it, and like that's the first step for change is kind of like acknowledging that you have something that needs to be changed. Because for example, like it's very tempting to go back to what you know because what you know is what's familiar to you, and because like you're in a journey right now of reprogramming your brain. You're reprogramming the way you're thinking, and that takes like around 21 days, like 3 weeks, 3 weeks a month. So like it's just like you just have to like just every time you have that thought, what I advise you to do is like have three of those, have three good ones, right? Every time you have a thought of like, oh, all men are the same, have three thoughts that say otherwise, right? Or like visualize this image of actually feeling good and feeling like you're not lying to yourself when you're kind of contradicting your mind, right? And trying to make your mind actually work for you and work to you instead of having your mind like taking control of you, right? Because for example, like yeah, I mean, I had the same. I was in like kind of a same situation as you know. But like I had to kind of let it go because nowadays in social media, you see a lot of handpicked women that people purposefully pick to go on these shows, right? That like they talk about like feminism nowadays and stuff, and when you watch too much of that and that becomes everything you watch, you actually start to automatically believe that every single woman is like that. And that's something I was like, okay, no, wait, it's a show. It's a show. And the women that are going there, they don't like suddenly appear there, they are handpicked to go there, right? What you're doing is you're assuming that like in every single corner of the world, in every single city, in every single village, in every single camp, in every single countryside, women are like that. That is not true at all. So it's just one of those things where like, and once you kind of like start like taking that out of you, you start to kind of actually see those women, and you take time to listen to them. You take time to see them and how they act, how they behave. You observe them and all that stuff, right? To actually see how they are. So I mean, it just takes time, but like once you're kind of finished, then you continue to believe that, which is the whole point of it, is to become consistent with your belief system. You end up kind of, it's going to be much easier, but that's why you're doing the work, right? That's why you're doing the work. That's the point of doing the work. It's to make it work and to change. So yeah, like just keep doing it, honestly. Like just don't go back to what's familiar to you, because that's the easiest thing. But that's, in the short term, it's kind of pleasurable, even because it gives you that sense of safety because that's what the mind is used to. That's what the mind is used to. But you should totally take advantage of that masculine energy, and take fully control and ownership of your brain, right? Take that drive that inside of you, that all that masculine energy, really raw, and just like prove it to yourself that there are good men like that, and like really shove it in your mind, really shove it, because like you just have to persist, and like you have to insist. You have to persist against your mind. You have to persist, and you have to insist. Yeah.
Okay, can you stop coaching and just like talking to the audience now? I have a question for both of you.
Sure.
What's like, how open are you to like truly be in love? Because why I'm asking this question, because a lot of people are so scared based on their past experience that they don't want to go through the same pain, that some people actually end up never finding somebody else in their life because they are so afraid thinking about their past stories and past experiences. Like, how do you feel about it? Because to me, let me just say about myself, I have that state of, like falling in love, I should say. This is like my nature. Like since young years, I was always, like I go from one relationship, I, cry out, I go through the emotions, I kind of grieve about it. And then I'm like, okay, next. Life is not ending, there is so much for me to explore. I want to live to the fullest. Okay, bring it on. Let me experience it with another person. Then the other person comes in, again, heartbreak, sometimes, it's easier said than done. There was a lot of pain going through that, but it never stopped me from looking for exactly what I want. I still continue pursuing it because I really love the feeling. Like I never wanted to be, just without that partnership, without somebody that I'm connected, and without somebody that we could enjoy moments together. So this is me.
Interesting. In my case, to be honest, sometimes I have decided to be single, like no man at all, to focus on my business, because when I get in that state where you cry and you realize that this can be painful and all that, it drains my energy immensely. So I've been working on that, right? Because it's like, damn, I need all this energy for my business. So I feel like I betrayed in myself for letting myself be in love and trying this new person. But now I'm in a place in my business where I learned to process all my emotions, to embrace them. And it's been like a journey where I'm like seated, processing all my emotions, the painful ones. One day I was in the bathroom. It was bad. Like, oh, I'm willing to feel this. It was so painful because I had like a romantic thing and it didn't work well. Like a romantic story. It didn't work. And I was just in my bathroom feeling the pain for the first time because all the time what I do is I call someone, I eat something, like I avoid emotion and I see it and I started feeling it. And I have 5 steps to process the emotion, which is recognize it, name it, feeling it, where in your body, and how does it feel. Then you tell yourself, I'm a human capable of processing emotion because every emotion has a beginning and middle end. So it's this repetition, and I did it in the bathroom, and it was so painful. And then I had a breakthrough. It's like the emotion got recognized, and I could release that. And I've been doing this over and over and over, so it becomes less painful. So now I'm open to have my business and also experience this painful sometimes, like uncertainty thing, and embrace that because I've been avoiding it for so long. It's harder. It gets harder when you avoid emotion. So you haven't avoided, you keep feeling it and you get excited. In my case, I block the person when I start feeling things and I run away. And I have done this for like 20 years, over and over, over and over. So that's why when I seated in the bathroom and I was crying and it was painful, I was like, no more. I don't want this emotion in my body anymore because it's getting stronger. And then I'm gonna end up alone, as you say, that people, because they avoid this, they end up not having it. And that's avoidance. And that's the last thing that we have to do as humans. Cannot avoid things.
Mm-hmm.
So beautiful. Thanks, Pashan. I just, to add to the crying, I love crying. When I feel like it, I just go and, like cry and scream and whatever helps, in that moment. But just let it out. And then I'm just, like back to myself. I'm back to myself. Yeah. So I totally agree with you. It's so, so important to process the emotions. Bruno, what does it come from you?
So like the majority of times when like we have breakthroughs, right, is because we catch ourselves in the act. Like we have that emotion and then suddenly like, oh wait, I'm feeling this. Oh, but like that's interesting. Like I never realized that this was what I actually felt. So like we kind of just, and then when we dwell about it, when I don't want to say dwell, because dwelling means like you're kind of like sinking on it. When you kind of like critically think about it, right, and you're able to kind of like deconstruct it from the moment it started until the moment you noticed it, and then you deconstruct all the other times that it happened, right? What triggered you, what didn't trigger you, and then that's the actual whole process, right? Again, it's like you were saying, Alejandra, and you were saying very well, like it's the avoidance. It's how people eventually end up avoiding it, and they're like, oh, like I went around the problem. I feel so much safer. But then it comes back again, and again and again and again, and each time it comes back, like it comes back stronger. Because like it's like in the moment it feels safe because like, oh my god, like I literally just managed to go around a humongous wall that I'm not able to climb, but for some reason I managed to go around. At some point in time, to all the viewers that are watching, you have to understand that like, is this an actual trap? Am I trapping myself? Am I trapping myself to like, am I getting into this labyrinth of always coming back to this wall until I kind of am able to just climb it? Because the wall keeps growing, the wall keeps getting bigger. The bigger the wall becomes, the harder it will be able to overcome it. Because then it just becomes a labyrinth, because like, and the reason why the wall becomes bigger is because the years go by as well, right? And you're just wasting time, literally just wasting time. Like you literally, like, for example, um because the world is not the actual world that a lot of people live in, is not the same world as the planet Earth. Because, for example, our world is the entrepreneurship world, right? Is the world where is not the same thing as a 9 to 5 person. It's not the same thing as a homeless person, right? Your world becomes what you experience every day. That's your world. That's your actual world. That's your day-to-day life. Your day-to-day life is your actual world. The same opportunities we have and the comfort we are used to every single day in our bed, in our house, in our food, in our water, whatever, is not the same as all the other people. With this being said, the point that I'm trying to reach here is the way we live our lives, right, totally dictates how we are going to live it, experience it, and obviously with all that just comes all the things of overcoming the problems, not overcoming the problems, avoiding them, right? Because there's so many things you can distract yourself with, right? On the world. Why would you even take time to critically think about your stuff, right? Why? I mean, you can go to the cinema, you can go to the restaurant, you can go to the club, you can go wherever, you can go to the theater, you can do whatever you want, right? Why would you even take time to critically think about your problems, about your life, right? So, um, this is the thing. Like people don't just sit down and think about why this and why that, and oh, how did this happen? Why did this happen? What? When? Whenever? What? Right? So it's good that you're doing that, because it's only through that that you're actually going to change, and that's what you're doing, which is good. And obviously, to all the viewers that are listening to this, like you should totally do the same thing that Alejandra is doing, because what she kind of did was she started to understand, uh, not that she didn't understand what critical thinking was before, but she's putting it to use again. And that's the only way you're going to overcome yourself, is critically thinking about what you want to do and how you're going to overcome it. Yeah.
I also
You know,
think, oh, sorry.
I just wanted to add what comes for me. A lot of people are, like avoiding their relationships because it's like, unknown territory for them. Because a lot of times we are not taught, right? Nobody teaches us in school. It's not like, like a life class for that. So people, a lot of times they are prepared being at, like the colleges, they get the degrees and they're so well equipped on how to earn money and how to be at the workplace, but they are so clueless how to navigate in the realm of relationships. And that's exactly what a lot of people are trying to escape, because they want to stay with the familiar, what they can handle and what they can control. At workplace, they know what they are doing and they know whatever they inputting, it's going to generate the output. But with the relationship, it's like very fluctuating field, and it's something that has to be worked on all the time, and a lot of people don't really know about it. So a lot of people getting even in the marriages, they think that once they get married, they're kind of settled for the life, but they don't realize that the relationships also require the work as much as any other area of our life. And it's very important to recognize like any signs of when something bubbles up, when you feel that there are things that you want to improve. It's very good when we communicate and figuring it out, so this way you could bring back those beautiful emotions, those feelings of being in love. And it takes two, right, to tango. So it's good when two partners are working on that. So that's exactly what I wanted to mention, that a lot of people just avoid like the relationship factor whatsoever, because it's like unknown to them. They don't know how to deal with that, and they have no control of it.
Yeah.
Alejandra, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I think also what it comes to me and is every time more and more clear is that avoiding emotions is not loving yourself. because that makes part of you as human. And when you avoid your emotions, you're kind of avoiding a part of you. So that's why we have to process all the emotions. We have to embrace them, even if it's painful, because when we do that, we go into a different level of self-love, and that becomes like peace, like more peaceful for you when you go to that next level of self-love, where you embrace and love all your emotions, and you stop avoiding them with drugs, alcohol, sex, all of that. Because when you avoid them doing all this, you're selling unconsciously to yourself, I'm not worth it, I don't want this, it's not me, when it's you. So you are kind of avoiding yourself in reality. So that's why you cannot avoid your emotions. And it became clear to me the last year and this year is like, of course, if I'm ready to love myself in a deepest way, I need to love my emotions too. And I wasn't doing that. But once you do it, you love yourself even more.
I think it's all about acceptance, right? Accept all our emotions, accept ourselves with our good and bad and whatever it is, right? Because it's part of life. So we have to go like through all the experiences. And I just wanted to conclude, unless Bruno, you want something to say, because I want to give some tools.
Yeah.
to-
So I was going to say that, you know, like, that's what you call self-respect, basically, right? Because you respect yourself. You finally found the reason why you respect yourself enough to actually do something. Because if you don't do it for yourself, then nobody will, really, you know. So, you know, it's very important that you respect yourself, that you know what you're worth, because to be confident enough that you're able to handle something, and the reason why you avoid stuff is because you know that you're not that confident, or that you could be, but you don't feel strong enough to deal with it, right? Um, there's this quote that is like, it's not enough to shout affirmations at the mirror and actually believe them. You need to do something about it to actually gain the confidence. You gotta have, it's like, you have to be your own testimonial when it comes to confidence, because each time you do it, and each time you're feeling like, oh, I don't know if I'm able to do this, you can always go back to all the times you thought you couldn't do something and you did it. So why wouldn't you be able to do it now, right? In your case, Alejandra, every single time that you are now able, right? Every single time you are now able to deal with not avoiding your problems and not like going to the same patterns that you were before. If you are feeling in rough, you can always go back to what happened, in terms of like, okay, last time I didn't do it. Now I may be feeling the way I'm feeling, but if last time I did it, well, now I'm not going to go back to it again. I'm going to continue the pattern. I'm going to continue it, right? Until one day it will seem so normal and so like, you know, because like we can be so easily triggered. Maybe it's the stress, maybe it's the anxiety, maybe it's the adrenaline, maybe, you know, like somebody did something to us, maybe we did something to ourselves, maybe we're not having a good day, maybe we woke up in a very bad way, maybe we woke up in, you know, a bit sad, whatever. Maybe it's not just one of those days, and it's just so easy to spiral, because it's so easy to like do the easy thing, right? That's why it's easy. That when you offer some kind of challenge to your mind and say, no, now we're gonna do this, it's like your mind laughs. It's like, what? Who are you to tell me what to do? You obeyed me like all your life, and now who do you think you are to even do something? And that's basically your mind. But it's like that's the confidence, you know. That's where your confidence has to be there. But it's like your mind. If your mind is not your best friend, your mind is the devil, right? And it's like, yeah, that's it. Your mind was meant to be obeyed, not to control you.
All right, I just wanted to go back to our topic, right? That we were talking about what is the difference between to love and being in love. And we kind of came to the same conclusion that being in love is just the feeling when we initially have the person for the romantic relationship. And then obviously we could always reignite that feeling even later on in our life. And just in case if anybody who's listening and meet somebody and they are figuring out if this is like the true feeling, if these are, like truly the feelings of being in love, a good tool that I could give is just to journalize, right? To just sit down with the paper and ask the question, what exactly do I feel for that person? Because believe it or not, when we are putting things on the paper, we get more clarity. And sometimes it takes time. You could go back to that in a few days, and the more days go by, the better the better idea you understand what really are the feelings for that person that you have. So sometimes not all the answers come to us right away. Sometimes it needs some unpacking and the time and kind of reflect on it and understand more and question ourselves what it is. And also, if you are really dating somebody and you want to know where you stand with the people, you could be open to the communication where you could actually ask the questions directly to to the people, right? This is something that a lot of people also are struggling with, and this is a good way because, like I said, rather than just going around the bush and figuring out what does that person really think about me or feel about me, why don't you just ask, right? Ask, and it's okay, whatever answer it is, just come with that mindset that no matter what answer I'm gonna receive, I'm gonna be fine, but at least I'm gonna get clarity, right? When you come with that mindset and just knowing that there is no harm in knowing the truth, I think it just saves so much time just going through the motions and trying to figure out and kind of, sleepless nights and all other nonsense that comes with that. So I think it's very important to self-reflect, ask yourself questions, like Alejandra mentioned, process the emotions, and as Bruno said, know more and more who we are and how to love ourselves, and all the answers become more and more clear. So anybody else wants to say something before we say goodbye?
Last thing.
Yeah.
When you are showing up as your highest self, which is accepting everything about you, being open, coming from a place of love and compassion, you have access to others people's highest self. That's my
So
last.
beautiful. That's beautiful. Thank you, Alejandra. Bruno?
No, yeah, I think we kind of covered it all up. We covered it all up. We could have. I think we could do like another episode about the same thing. Like we could totally do like a kind of a second part about it because there's so much we can talk about in these topics. But yes, to love and being loved obviously is two different things, and it's like we said. Obviously, when to love means wanting to love, wanting to learn how to love. Being in love means being in love, and how many people are in love, and how many people want to love. How many people want to actually learn how to love, and even inside the relationship because they understood that they don't know what that is, or they're not and they want to learn. Or imagine or people who uh, are in a relationship, um, and they actually are in love, right? It's just different. It's just different. The way you feel, the way you think about it is different. And then again, it's like you said, Irina, it's like this is not taught in school. And like school doesn't teach you life. School teaches you whatever school wants you to learn, not what you want to learn. What school wants you to learn, which is totally different, right? But yeah. Yes.
Thank you. And you know what? I just wanted to add the last statement that to each its own, right? make your own definition. What does it mean for you to love or to be in love? Because we are here discussing and just saying what it means to us, it's not necessarily that the same resonates with you or you think the same way. So just question yourself, what are these words mean to you, and how you interpret them, and how you see them, these words, to be play out in your life, and just make the best out of it. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today, and see you next week. Bye.
Bye.